Throughout history, disease outbreaks have shaped the world in profound ways, leaving lasting impacts on societies, economies, and human health. From ancient plagues to modern pandemics, these outbreaks have tested humanity's resilience and ability to adapt. Join us as we explore the origins, impacts, and lessons learned from these devastating events that remind us of the importance of global health and preparedness. Here are top 10 deadliest disease outbreaks. Number 1. Black Death, 1346 to 1353. The Black Death, a devastating pandemic of bubonic plague, swept through Europe from 1346 to 1353, resulting in the deaths of an estimated 25 to 50 million people, or about 30% to 60% of the continent's population. Caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which was transmitted by fleas on rats, the plague originated in Central Asia and spread to Europe via trade routes. The pandemic had profound social, economic, and cultural impacts, leading to labor shortages, demands for the end of serfdom, and widespread persecution of minority groups, particularly Jews. The rapid spread and high mortality rate resulted in mass burials and the abandonment of towns. It took approximately 200 years for Europe's population to recover to pre-pandemic levels. Number 2. Spanish flu, 1918 to 1919. The Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 to 1919 was one of the deadliest in history, caused by the H1N1 influenza virus. It infected about 500 million people, or one-third of the world's population, and led to around 50 million deaths, with some estimates as high as 100 million. The pandemic came in 3 waves, with the second wave being the most deadly. Unlike typical flu outbreaks, the Spanish flu had a high death rate among healthy young adults aged 20 to 40. The virus likely started in the U.S., with one of the first cases reported at Fort Riley, Kansas, in March 1918, and it spread quickly due to troop movements during World War I. The pandemic was made worse by the overcrowded and unsanitary conditions of the war. Although it was called the Spanish flu, the virus didn't originate in Spain. Spain, being neutral during the war, didn't censor news about the outbreak, leading people to mistakenly believe it started there. Number 3. HIV/AIDS pandemic, 1980s to present. The HIV/AIDS pandemic began in the early 1980s and has since caused the deaths of over 40 million people worldwide, with millions still affected today. The virus likely came from non-human primates in Central and West Africa and was identified as HIV-1, the main strain that causes most infections. The pandemic first gained attention in 1981 when the CDC reported unusual cases of pneumonia and a rare cancer in gay men in Los Angeles and New York. It was initially called GRID, gay-related immune deficiency, but was later renamed AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, as it became clear that it affected people of all backgrounds, including hemophiliacs, drug users, and heterosexuals. Key progress in fighting the disease includes the discovery of the virus by researchers Luc Montagnier and Françoise Bar-Sinoussi, who won a Nobel Prize, and the development of antiretroviral treatments and prevention methods like PrEP. Despite these advances, HIV/AIDS remains a global health issue, with ongoing efforts to find a cure and reduce new infections. Number 4. Third cholera pandemic, 1852 to 1860. The third cholera pandemic, from 1852 to 1860, was the deadliest of the 7 cholera pandemics. It began in India and spread worldwide, hitting Asia, Europe, Africa, and North America hard. Over 1 million people died, with Russia losing more than 1 million lives alone. In 1854, the pandemic peaked in Great Britain, killing 23,000 people. During this time, British Dr. John Snow made a major discovery by linking contaminated water to the cholera outbreak in London. His work during the Broad Street cholera outbreak, where he removed a polluted water pump handle, helped reduce the number of cases and marked a key moment in public health. The pandemic also caused severe outbreaks in other places, like Spain, where over 236,000 people died, and Tokyo, where between 100,000 and 200,000 died from 1858 to 1860. The third cholera pandemic showed the urgent need for better sanitation and public health measures, shaping future responses to disease outbreaks. Thank you for making it this far. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Number 5. Asian flu, 1957 to 1958. The Asian flu pandemic of 1957 to 1958, caused by the influenza virus subtype H2N2, originated in Guizhou, southern China, and quickly spread to Singapore, Hong Kong, and other parts of Asia by April, reaching the United States and the United Kingdom by June. This pandemic primarily affected children, the elderly, and pregnant women, resulting in an estimated 1 to 2 million deaths globally, with approximately 116,000 fatalities in the United States alone. The virus was a reassortant strain that caused symptoms such as fever, body aches, and cough, and it occurred in 2 waves, with the second wave being more severe. The World Health Organization, facing its first influenza pandemic, facilitated the development and introduction of a vaccine in 1957, which helped slow the spread of the virus. The pandemic highlighted the need for improved global epidemiological surveillance and led to advancements in influenza research and vaccine development, with the H2N2 virus continuing to circulate as seasonal flu until it was replaced by the H3N2 strain in 1968. Number 6. Hong Kong flu, 1968 to 1970. The Hong Kong flu pandemic, also known as the 1968 flu pandemic, was a global outbreak caused by the H3N2 strain of the influenza A virus. Originating in Hong Kong in July 1968, the virus quickly spread worldwide, infecting millions and resulting in an estimated 1 to 4 million deaths. The pandemic was characterized by 2 waves, with the second wave causing more fatalities. The H3N2 virus emerged through antigenic shift from the H2N2 strain responsible for the 1957 Asian flu, retaining the N2 neuraminidase antigen, which provided some immunity to those exposed to the earlier virus. The pandemic spread rapidly due to the high contagion rate, reaching the United States, Europe, and other regions within months. Although a vaccine was developed, it became available only after the pandemic's peak. The virus primarily affected infants and the elderly, causing symptoms typical of influenza, such as fever and muscle pain. Number 7. Ebola virus epidemic, 2014 to 2016. The Ebola virus epidemic from 2014 to 2016 was the largest and most complicated outbreak of Ebola since the virus was discovered in 1976. It started in Guinea and quickly spread to nearby countries like Liberia and Sierra Leone, eventually reaching 7 other countries, including the United States and Spain. More than 28,600 people were infected, and around 11,325 died, resulting in a fatality rate of about 40%. In August 2014, the World Health Organization declared it a public health emergency of international concern. The outbreak exposed major challenges in controlling viral diseases, such as delayed detection, weak healthcare systems, and cultural practices that made it harder to respond effectively. The economic impact was also severe, with the most affected countries losing about $2.2 billion in GDP in 2015. On the positive side, the epidemic led to the development of the RVSV-ZEBOV vaccine, which is now stockpiled for future outbreaks. Number 8. Severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, 2002 to 2003. The severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, outbreak from 2002 to 2003 was a global epidemic caused by the SARS-associated coronavirus, SARS-CoV. It began in November 2002 in the Guangdong province of China and rapidly spread to 30 countries, infecting over 8,000 people and resulting in 774 deaths. The virus primarily spread through respiratory droplets and close contact with infected individuals. Initial symptoms included high fever, headache, and body aches, progressing to a dry cough and pneumonia. The World Health Organization, WHO, issued a global alert in March 2003 and coordinated international efforts to contain the outbreak, which was declared contained by July 2003. Number 9. H1N1 swine flu pandemic, 2009 to 2010. The H1N1 swine flu pandemic of 2009 to 2010 was a global outbreak caused by a new strain of the H1N1 influenza virus, which combined genes from bird, pig, and human flu viruses. It was first detected in La Gloria, Mexico, and spread quickly around the world due to its high contagiousness and modern travel. By June 2009, the World Health Organization declared it a pandemic, as it had reached 74 countries. Unlike typical flu viruses, H1N1 mainly affected younger people, especially children and young adults. The pandemic led to an estimated 151,700 to 575,400 deaths, though confirmed deaths were lower, showing the difficulty in accurate reporting. The virus caused symptoms similar to seasonal flu but sometimes led to serious complications like pneumonia. A global response, including the development of a vaccine, helped control the spread. Number 10. COVID-19 Pandemic, 2019 to present. The COVID-19 pandemic, caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, started in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, and quickly spread worldwide. The World Health Organization, WHO, declared it a pandemic on March 11, 2020. The virus has infected hundreds of millions of people globally and caused millions of deaths. COVID-19 symptoms range from mild, like fever and cough, to severe breathing difficulties, and some people experience long-term effects called long COVID. The virus spreads mainly through respiratory droplets, but airborne transmission and surface contact also play a role. The pandemic led to major social and economic disruptions, including the biggest global recession since the Great Depression, supply shortages, and changes in work and education. In response, several vaccines were quickly developed and distributed, along with public health measures like social distancing, masks, and lockdowns. These events serve as powerful reminders of the challenges we've faced and the progress we've made in understanding and combating infectious diseases. As we continue to navigate the complexities of global health, it's crucial to learn from the past and stay prepared for the future. Thank you. Please like and subscribe.